Thank you. We're going to go ahead and start, okay? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're reconvening after a recess yesterday. Today is the 26th of September, and this is a continuation of the special city council meeting that we called yesterday to wrap up our budget for the year and to do budget and to have budget considerations. And so it is 11:07 a.m. and we're now back in session. I'm going to ask Mr. Banks as the I'm sorry. Any introductions this morning? Mr. Hartley?
Yeah, just not an introduction, but just a...
Oh, wait, Mr. Hartley, you're scratching it.
Not an introduction, but just a comment. If you would, please remember two families. The Honorable Representative Alice Clark lost her son, and I think the funeral services, I believe, is going to be, I think, Saturday, either Friday or Saturday, but you can go online or you can call my office. And the other announcement is, please remember the Evers family in your prayers too. Apparently, Rena Evers, daughter, is missing in Atlanta and been missing for several days. So please remember the Evers family. That's Rena Evers, the daughter of Mega Evers, and a relative also of Supervisor Wanda Evers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hartley. We'll certainly keep them all in our prayers. All right, Mr. Banks, I'm going to ask you, as the finance chair, to just go ahead and bring us up to speed as to where, why we needed to recess yesterday and where we are. And then also, Brandon, I'm going to ask you to come forward and tell us about what you have handed out to us. Mr. Banks? Excuse me.
Mic check.
Is that fine, Mr. Banks?
Yeah, but I know what it is. I just turned. Mic check. All right. Thank you, Madam President. We recessed. Wanted to just make sure that there was covered for this body in those items that have either come before us and the budgeted amount was not appropriated, or those items did not come across us at all, to highlight those. And then also there's a recommendation from legal on some of the language to amend that will give us cover, correct? Okay. Yeah, for ratification. All right. So with that being said, Madam President, if Brandon can go over the highlights.
Thank you. All right, so we have a hefty handout today, two separate handouts. And so, hello, Ms. Timms, thank you. We do appreciate all the work that y'all did last night on this, yesterday afternoon and last night. Could you walk us through what you've handed us today?
Brandon Jackson, Budget Manager. So what I've handed you all today are all of the agendas that have went through council for the highlighted items on the transfers that you all have. I went back through all of the agendas one by one to make sure everything that is highlighted was approved by you all, and I did find agendas for all of that.
So everything that we are being asked to consider for the budget closeout had appropriate action attached. It came before the council.
Yes, ma'am. The only thing that wouldn't be included in the highlighted, well, all of the highlighted would be things that would have had to go past through you all and be approved. There was a lot of year ends that's just end of the year maintenance that we do. But I made sure, especially the big purchases of subscriptions and contracts, were passed through you all, change orders as well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Mr. Banks?
Yeah, if we could just go briefly through this. So when you look at your first year policy, it says to allocate monies for past due temp staffing, and it says under active contract approval, printed agenda. The other one is about $38,000 to allocate monies for software. It says red folder legal. Explain that.
Sandra Moncure, Office of the City Attorney. So for the police, there's already agenda item pending. So this hadn't been before you all yet. There's nothing to ratify because the department hadn't went and procured anything without coming before you. So ratification goes back to cover situations where the department acted, didn't come before you and get the authority, and you go back and ratify. So this item, and then there's one more in all transparency, which is the chillers for Thalamar Hall. That's the emergency the emergency has been declared already.
Mm-hmm.
And so they hadn't purchased, no money has been spent. When they get ready to purchase that chiller, that order will come back before you all. Because with an emergency declaration.
10 days?
No,
How many days?
but before the end of October. So
Okay.
the JPD item and Thalamar Hall will have to come back before you all before the last meeting in October. But no money will be spent until they come before you all to get the authority to purchase.
All right, but what about the IT ones, the ones from IT that did not come across but is under state contract?
So state contracts, those is kind of similar to what we do with commodities. So, if you get your 2 quotes, you can go straight out and procure. Things that's on state contract, the only time you'll see those come before you all is normally the copier printers. Those are on state contract, but the vendor and the city actually enter into a contract. So some of the things that's purchased off state contract, that don't have to come before you all. Because there's not necessarily an agreement that follows that. You can just, the governing authority under state law can just straight out purchase. So that's like similar to what you see with commodities under that $75,000 threshold. That comes to you on the claims docket. That is where you will see that. We make sure it's under state contract. That state contract is attached in units. I see that. I don't pull it from the docket, and that's when it comes back to you all for approval.
All right, and then the other ones are the allocations for past due invoices. All those past due invoices came before this body, we're sure.
For everything that is highlighted, most definitely, I made sure to go back into the minutes to find exactly when that was approved.
All right, and we have an amendment proposed to, go ahead.
I don't have an amendment to recommend. There's nothing to go back and ratify and clean up.
Okay,
Most of everything that, in that stack that Brandon has highlighted has been approved, and it's in order. If you go through it, you can follow the highlighted pieces in the pack that he gave you. It's only 2. Like I said, the chillers for Thalamar Hall, that's the declaration, that's emergency declaration has been declared by the mayor. That'll come back for you all to ratify. That's normally how that happens. And then the agenda item for JPD, the software, is in legal. It's not, we don't have to ratify it because no money has been spent, nobody has procured anything, and it has to come back before the last meeting in October,
I think the 22nd.
and
okay,
we're fine.
okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry, will you finish?
Yeah, just one more question, and it could come after Mr. Hartley.
Mr. Hartley?
Yeah, just a quick question. Are any of these items coming out of fiscal year 24 budget, or are all of them coming out of our next budget?
The past due bills can only be paid in the current budget, even though they may be for years prior, because the system is closed to be able to pay in those years. So you have to pay in this year, and that's why we say some of this is from past due invoices. Now, what will happen is the auditor will move them back to the right year when he does the CAFR.
So
But we
this is
have
not
to can
going to
only pay in
affect
the
our,
current year.
it's not going to affect our upcoming budget then?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hartley. Any other questions or concerns regarding this?
Yeah, just,
Mr. Banks?
yes, Madam President, Ms. Timms just can briefly go over what we will do or what's going to be done in the future to kind of prevent these things that have happened.
Okay.
We're going to set the new policy.
I'm
in-
sorry, state your
I'm sorry, Sharon Sims, Deputy CFO. The new policy we're going to put into play is if you have to move money across the category to get it when you're doing a project, that they have to come together. So they will be back to back, so you'll be approving at the same time. And that way, we won't have to do it at the end of the year. We can go ahead and make that move at that time.
And what about the orders that came through where the items weren't correctly budgeted?
Well, if there's no budget, you will have to, they'll have to come over here to get it moved to the right line.
Okay.
All right, you
I'm-
satisfied, Mr. Banks? Any other questions or comments? All right, I just realized we never put this item back up. Well, it was already on the floor, we just recessed, sorry.
I think
All right.
Giselle.
But, Mr. Gazelle, did you have a question?
No, I'm ready to vote. Thank you.
All right, is the item on the floor? Okay, would you please get the item on the floor, sorry?
Order amending the fiscal year 2023-2024 municipal budget.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Colleagues, any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, it passed with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, colleagues, for coming back today so we could wrap this up and get all our questions answered. And thank you, Finance and Legal, for working extra time yesterday to get us this information. We're very grateful to you. Colleagues, any closing remarks or comments?